Like people growing up in more conventional families, people in foster care have a goal of becoming independent and self-sufficient. But reaching that goal often takes some extra help, including the support of other people who've been in foster care. That's the reason for the Massachusetts network of foster care alumni. We'd like to welcome the network's project director, Grace Hilliard-Koshinsky. Thank you very much for being with us, Grace.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So start with your own experience. You were someone who was formerly in foster care, and what was it like the first time you heard about this organization?
Well, I have known about this organization since I was invited to participate in a focus group that at the time, the commissioner, Angelo McLean, he's a former foster youth and wanted part of his legacy to be a really strong network that supported alum in Massachusetts, following his term as commissioner, and had found a lot of support from the boys' home that he grew up with in Texas. And that boys' home, he has made lifelong connections through their alumni network. So I found out about this group in part because I was invited to that focus group.
Right. Now, in your own life, you had a sibling that you were separated from, and how did that work out?
Well, actually, I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers, and 4 of those siblings are biological, and the other one is a sibling that I consider to be family because we spent enough time in foster care together in the same placement that I consider her my sister. And because of the nature of the severity of the trauma that we had experienced, and I guess other complex factors in Ohio where I was in foster care, we were all separated initially. And one sibling I did not have the opportunity to reunite with until I was a freshman in college, and I was counting down the days until he became 18 and I could reach back out to him again legally, and I could see if we could start a relationship. And at that time I found that he was not in the best circumstances, and asked him if he would be willing to step off that ledge to think about moving in with me. And he did. He made that decision to move in with me. So I went and got him on July 4th, which he considers his own personal Independence Day. And he lived with me for a year, and after which time he applied to college, and he did very well with a more sound support structure throughout his last year of high school.
Now, here you are, formerly in foster care, and you're almost like a parent. Taking care of this sibling. And did you ever think that, I need an advocacy group? Was that going through your head at the time?
It was not, actually. Initially, it was the farthest thing from what I thought that I would be doing. But it's amazing how, as we're working through our own stuff, that we can come to a place where we realize that we're emotionally able to give back to others who have had similar circumstances. And in this case, the Massachusetts network of foster care alumni has been that platform for me and my passion to try and build a statewide network through the support that we have to do that.
Why did you want to help the sibling? You were in college at the time. You had a full plate. What did you get from that?
My siblings, I consider my siblings to be a sibling survival unit. And similar to the way that many people who are in the military consider their fellow brothers and sisters in the military a survival unit. And when you have experienced something together that many other people don't necessarily know how to approach or identify with, that bond is unshakable. And I think I'm not the only one. There are many foster care alum who find themselves and have found themselves in positions where they're raising younger brothers and sisters of their own.
Now, I know your organization helps people at different stages of your life, but I guess the one maybe more than any other you're concerned about is right around that age of 18. We say when people age out. Explain why your group can be so important for people at that point.
Well, I think it's important to recognize that there's a large degree of services that Massachusetts has been a leader in across the country, whereas myself from Ohio, services, foster care services do at this point, they terminate at 18. But in Massachusetts, legislatively for many years now, there has been continued support for adolescents from 18 to 22 and sometimes slightly beyond. But it's all of our responsibility, including those of us who have been in foster care, to really reach back out and to be that mirror, to be someone who looks like me, who's now made it, to look back and say, and not just I see that person on the TV screen, but I can go and meet with that person, and I can talk to them about what I'm struggling with, and that those struggles, they don't end when those, when the services that the state provides, when the youth transition into adulthood. It's really about this notion that we're all, in order to be self-sufficient, we're all interdependent. I depend on you for something, you depend on me for something, for the rest of our lives.
And I imagine what would happen with people at 18, because if they are maybe cut loose from at least from one kind of placement, they might not know all these things right away about where to turn for help if they got some kind of a housing need or a mental health need. So I guess your organization could help with that.
Well, we're really in the beginning building stages. We would like to eventually have much more robust programs, but since we're really just out of the gate, we're trying to build a community of folks who are 18 plus to 99. Our oldest member is 72. She and her 5 siblings were in the foster care system many, many years ago, and she now is serving on our board. And so how do we begin to create these informal opportunities to network with one another? And so that if I have met a woman who's in early childhood ed, and she's been in there for years, and I can connect her with an alum who's transitioning, who's interested in that same field. So there are many needs, and I would say the best resource we can be right now is to begin to build communities with a small groups of people. It's a statewide effort, and we've just started launching those networking meet and greets, what we're calling them, across the state throughout this month, and we've had our 4th one last night here in Boston, in Waltham.
We should mention, if people want to find out some more about your organization, maybe when there's going to be a meet and greet happening in their area, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, our website, we post all the meet and greets on our website. We're also on social media, and we're on Facebook, Twitter, and thanks to a young man in Central Mass, his name's Isaac, he helped us create an Instagram account so that we're posting, photos from events to try and draw people in and get them excited about this group.
Thank you very much for being with us. Grace Hilliard-Koshinsky from the Mass Network of Foster Care Alumni.